The Brown family, once portrayed as a courageous and united example of modern plural marriage on national television, has now descended into a labyrinth of tension, heartbreak, and irreversible change. A spiral so dramatic that longtime viewers can hardly believe that the warm, laughter-filled scenes that opened the very first episode in 2010 belong to the same clan that is currently crumbling in real time before their eyes, both on screen and across the endless swirl of social media commentary. And the catalyst for this breathtaking unraveling came in the form of a single tangible paper. Divorce papers that Kody Brown personally handed to Robyn Brown in a moment so stark and unexpected that even the family members who thought they had seen every twist imaginable were left speechless, because Robyn had been widely recognized as Kody's favored partner, and many assumed he would cling to that last remaining marriage as a lifeline to his original plural marriage dreams. Yet instead, the public witnessed an about-face that felt cinematic in its scope, as well as tragic in its emotional impact. And the tensions that had simmered beneath the subtle smiles and strained family reunions finally erupted like an overdue volcano. The night those papers surfaced during a chaotic gathering, intended ironically to heal old wounds, Robyn, blindsided, struggled to process the shock, but the shockwave did not stop with her. It rippled outward toward Meri Brown, Kody's first wife, and the woman who had once encouraged him to court Robyn in hopes of revitalizing the family's sense of purpose. And years of bottled hurt cracked open inside Meri in front of everyone when she declared, her voice trembling yet resonant, that the devil is better than Robyn, a sentiment that crystallized decades of perceived betrayal, rejection, and loneliness into one blistering sentence that fans would quote endlessly online. The eruption did not end there, because Janelle Brown, historically the calmest and most pragmatic of the wives, lost her composure in a way no viewer had ever witnessed, standing shoulder to shoulder with Meri as she lambasted both Kody and Robyn for manipulation, gaslighting, and systemic favoritism that had, in her view, shattered the family's moral core. Her words set fire to Twitter, TikTok, and every commentary podcast devoted to reality TV analysis. While users hailed Janelle and Meri as survivors, finally seizing back their narratives from a man who, in their eyes, had grown obsessed with a single wife at the expense of everyone else, especially his maturing children, who felt robbed of paternal attention. That night became the epicenter of a family earthquake, a point of no return where everything that had been hidden or politely excused was laid bare. And in the aftermath, even the most optimistic fans began to concede that the original vision of sister wives, a cooperative, faithful household navigating modern life, was gone forever, replaced by heartbreak, suspicion, and the deep sorrow of knowing that a cherished experiment in plural love had failed under the weight of human frailty. Season 19 had barely begun airing when rumors exploded that it might be the show's final chapter, because the premise, 4 wives, 1 household, 1 faith, no longer existed. Christine had left in 2021. Meri and Janelle followed in emotional stages. And now, if the divorce went through, Kody himself would stand alone, no longer a polygamist, but a man trying to salvage a single relationship that even he seemed eager to abandon. The cracks, of course, had been visible for years, starting with Kody's legal divorce from Meri to wed Robyn on paper so he could adopt Robyn's children, a decision that wounded Meri in ways that took a decade to articulate. Yet Meri had persevered, believing in spiritual covenant, until every conversation with Kody
became a reminder that attraction, affection, and even basic friendship had faded into cold obligation. The internal tragedy of Meri's story, of encouraging Kody to embrace Robyn, only to watch Robyn become the center of his world, gripped fans who understood that Meri's silence masked overwhelming pain, but silence eventually gave way to action when she chose her own future over endless waiting.
Christine, meanwhile, provided a narrative of liberation that viewers found cathartic. She broke free, faced initial fear, and blossomed into a vibrant woman who traveled, laughed openly, and fell in love with David Woolley, marrying him in October 2023 and sharing joyful images of bike rides, tattoos, and home renovations that contrasted starkly with the stoic beige walls of her former plural life and her transformation from overlooked third wife to radiant newlywed, inspired countless strangers to reevaluate their own stagnant relationships. Janelle's journey took a more measured but equally powerful path. Her marriage to Kody had long been defined by independence, career pursuits, and a pragmatic acceptance that plural family logistics meant spending many nights alone, yet nothing could protect her from the hurt of watching Kody detach emotionally from their 6 children. Logan, Maddie, Hunter, Garrison, Gabriel, and Savannah, especially after he devoted the bulk of his energy to Robyn's household, and Janelle's decision to leave stemmed as much from maternal outrage as from personal sorrow. Relocating to North Carolina near Maddie, she purchased land to launch a flower farm, channeling grief into soil and seedlings. But tragedy still found her when 25-year-old Garrison died by suicide in March 2024, a loss that sent ripples of grief far beyond family boundaries. The public outpouring of empathy mixed with renewed scrutiny on Kody's paternal absence, while Janelle confronted sorrow with raw honesty, sharing photos from his celebration of life, baking his favorite strawberry rhubarb pie, and gradually speaking about the importance of men's mental health support in interviews that revealed both vulnerability and unbreakable resilience. Kody joined Janelle in a rare united statement mourning their bright spot. Yet even that moment of shared grief did not mend the chasm that years of unequal effort had carved between them. And many fans felt that Kody's tearful confessionals arrived too late to repair fractured trust. Throughout these upheavals, Robyn struggled to reconcile her spiritual devotion to plural marriage with the reality that none of Kody's 18 children had embraced the lifestyle. And a poignant scene showed her daughter Aurora's baptism into a pro-polygamy church overshadowed by Robyn's admission that she felt the family had failed. Kody himself, cornered by confrontation and his own exhaustion, conceded that he no longer sought additional wives. The romanticized ideals he once preached had, by his own words, become headaches of jealousy, financial strain, and endless questions about trust. And so the man who once fought in Utah courts for the legality of plural marriage now wants nothing more than simplicity, monogamy, and relief from the chaos he inadvertently created. The collapse of the Brown family is thus more than reality TV drama. It's a multifaceted reflection on modern faith, autonomy, mental health, and the capacity to reinvent oneself after public humiliation. And it unfolds against the backdrop of a world addicted to live commentary, where each tearful confession is clipped into memes, each Instagram post dissected for hidden meaning, and each family gathering becomes hashtagged theater. Viewers who originally tuned in to learn about the logistics of four-way marriage have instead witnessed an epic cautionary tale about miscommunication, the perils of favoritism, and the painful truth
that love unbalanced corrodes everything it touches. The impending dissolution of Kody and Robyn's marriage could mark the series finale. But for many fans, the true climax has already occurred. It was the precise moment each formerly silenced wife stepped into her own separate life, trading communal chaos for individual purpose, embracing the scary promise that wholeness might bloom only after surrendering a dream that no longer fit. Christine's new marriage, Janelle's flower farm, Meri's rediscovery of personal identity, and even Robyn's reckoning with disappointment all illustrate diverging paths that challenge the simplistic happily ever after format. Instead, Sister Wives evolves into an anthology of human resilience where each person authors her own sequel outside the shadow of one man's spiritual experiment. Kody, for his part, must now confront loneliness that can't be edited out in post-production and may write his own memoir of regret. But whether viewers sympathize or condemn him, his journey emphasizes that leadership without balanced empathy inevitably implodes. In the broader cultural conversation, the Brown saga ignites debate over how reality television frames faith, how patriarchal narratives dissolve under sustained scrutiny, and how children raised inside televised belief systems grapple with their own adulthood once the spotlight moves on. Many of Kody's offspring have publicly critiqued their upbringing, and their refusal to copy plural marriage presents the most compelling evidence that the family's original mission to mainstream polygamy has concluded in irony. And yet, amid the rubble, another lesson gleams. That personal evolution can emerge from shared collapse, that grief can galvanize advocacy, and that authenticity, once reclaimed, sustains longer than any ratings contract. As fans ponder whether cameras will roll for a 20th season, the real question isn't about network schedules, but about the choices each Brown will make in the quiet spaces where production crews no longer tread. Because healing, unlike reality TV, resists tidy timelines and cannot be plotted for dramatic arc.
For now, the image that endures is a dining room table once built to seat a crowd, now likely to gather dust, and a patriarch whose once booming voice echoes in an emptier house, while the women he once called sister wives plant gardens, sign new marriage certificates, and post candid, unfiltered smiles that speak of relief. Perhaps the legacy of sister wives will be neither endorsement nor condemnation of polygamy, but a nuanced reminder that every relationship structure succeeds or fails on the same basic ingredients: equitable attention, mutual respect, and emotional safety. Remove those, and even the most fervent spiritual conviction will fracture. When the credits finally fade, viewers may forget the episode numbers, but will remember the sigh that slipped from Meri's lips, the tremor in Janelle's voice, the brightness returning to Christine's eyes, and the silence into which Kody disappeared. And through those remembered fragments, they may carry forward a deeper awareness that family is not a fixed architecture, but a living organism that withers under neglect and revives under radical honesty. Thus ends or transforms the modern morality play that began with a confident family photo outside a Las Vegas cul-de-sac and concludes with 4 separate doorsteps leading to 4 singular futures, an ending saturated with bittersweet complexity and also with hard-won freedom. And audiences who once watched out of curiosity now observe with a mix of nostalgia, empathy, and the humbling realization that spiritual callings can evolve, that vows may expire when trust is depleted, and that walking away is sometimes the purest form of true growth forward. The May 25th, 2025 episode of Sister Wives marked a deeply emotional chapter in the Brown family's journey, offering a raw and unfiltered look into the aftermath of Garrison Brown's tragic death by suicide in March 2024 at age 25. His passing shook the family and fans alike, prompting an unprecedented level of openness and vulnerability from all members, especially his parents, Kody and Janelle Brown. Janelle recalled their final exchange, noting how ordinary the day seemed until Garrison stopped responding around 8:30 p.m. By morning, her son Gabriel delivered the heartbreaking news. The family later chose to bury Garrison in Wyoming, a place he loved and that was rich with Brown family heritage. In a deeply personal gesture, Kody asked the cemetery sexton for permission to dig the grave himself, an act he described as one of the most meaningful of his life, performed with the help of his brother Scott and brother-in-law Tim. During the funeral, family members laid significant items like military tags and a commissioned officer's hat into the grave, each symbolizing Garrison's spirit and the depth of their loss. Janelle announced during the burial that this chapter was closed and her son was finally at rest. The episode captured Kody's intense remorse and regret as he admitted being haunted by what-ifs about their strained relationship and missed opportunities worsened during the pandemic when family tensions escalated. Janelle also acknowledged that Garrison's internal battles with depression and alcohol became increasingly difficult to manage despite the love and support around him. Christine remembered Garrison's loving nature, especially his thoughtful gesture of building a flower bed for her daughter. Truly. While Meri recalled the pain of hearing and delivering the tragic news to other family members. As the family confronted their grief, Janelle remained a source of strength, openly discussing her mourning process, sharing memories of Garrison, and encouraging greater awareness and conversation around mental health, especially for young men. The episode was a sorrowful but powerful tribute to Garrison's life and the family's resilience, reminding viewers that beneath the drama and headlines, these are real people navigating unimaginable pain. It was not just a moment of mourning, but a call to reflection and compassion as the Browns, once fractured by marital discord and personal differences, came together in shared sorrow, bound by love for a lost son and a commitment to keeping his memory alive.